Hello and welcome back to another episode of Inside the Tank presented by CW Sports Memorabilia. I'm your host, Tyler Raines. Now, over the last couple of weeks, this has been leading up to a huge moment in Steelheads franchise history. And for those who follow along with the team, you'll know what I'm talking about. For those who haven't and are just discovering this huge news now, James Hardy is officially the highest scoring Steelhead of all time, passing both Owen Tippett and Michael McLeod in goals and points for the all-time lead in franchise history. Right now, as we speak, he's at 214 points. When prior to this recording, when we recorded last week with Darius, which if you haven't already seen that episode, you definitely should go check it out. It's on our YouTube channel, and it will be in the description down below if you haven't already seen it. When we first recorded that about a week ago, he was 2 points off of hitting that milestone, and now he has successfully gathered 9 points throughout that span, which is pretty impressive. Now, that being said, I want to talk about not only his milestones, I want to talk about how good this team has looked, and I also want to talk about some of the rookie standouts, because this has been an incredible last couple of weeks. From the OHL's trade deadline, the new acquisitions that got brought in, Porter Martone, Jack Van Volsen, even Stevie Lescovar, who's looked really good on the blue line. There has been a lot of rookie standouts and a lot of players who have done so much good on this team. So I want to talk a little bit about, number one, how it doesn't really feel like a rebuild, because people will argue and say, oh, well, that's how a rebuild starts. It starts off with good results, and then it gets progressively worse and worse. It doesn't feel like that, because with, traditional rebuilds like we've seen with the Leafs, right, with the Oilers, with the Senators, they've tanked to the point where they were so bad that they got a top pick. And am I saying that the Steelheads are going to do this right now? Absolutely not. But I know it's the early stages of a rebuild / retool, whatever you want to call it, but they look a lot more comfortable. And the guys who just came in not too long ago, they look like they're fitting the system very well, right? So Jack Van Volsen has really looked good, because he's used that combination of that speed and that killer shot. Now, he hasn't been able to score a whole lot yet, but that's pretty normal, because, again, number one, he's a rookie, right? And number two, he just needs a little bit more time to gel with everybody, because you're not going to build Rome in a day. It just doesn't work like that. But he has looked good. All of the shifts that he's been out there, he's scored already, but he hasn't, I feel like he hasn't reached that maximum level of comfort yet with his new team, and that's okay. That's completely okay, because at the end of the day, you have to take in, he's in his first season in the OHL. He's played for two teams, Peterborough for the first half of the season, and now Mississauga for the second half. So that in itself is a big challenge, right? Same with Porter Martone. He's come in from Sarnia, has been super impressive. All of the shifts that he's brought in, he's done something. He rarely, if ever, leaves the ice from what I've seen so far without either a shot registered, some sort of block shot, a scoring chance, a goal, an assist. It doesn't matter. He has looked fantastic. They both have. This has been one of the biggest treats for fans to watch, because you have two young players. They're 16 and 17 years old, right? Well, actually, you have a lot of young players too. Don't forget about Lucas Carmiris. You have a lot of young players on this team who are in the position to stay for quite a few years after this, and are in a position to do some damage. So it may not look like a whole lot right now, but for the ones that have seen them play, and seen how incredible that these players are, I think it is an absolute win from these trades. And again, I want to talk a little bit about the other side of the deal. We did give up some veteran players. Now, I've seen people are a little bit upset about that still, but you have to take into that some of these guys weren't going to be here next year. Luca Del Belbaluz might have been here, right? That one hurts a little bit. Ethan Del Mastro was likely not going to be here next year because he would have been either called up to the AHL or to the NHL, and Owen Beck was going to make the Habs roster on either opening night or at some point in the season. So I think that this was a very, very wise move by the management, and we're starting to see why that is, because players like Porter Martone, Jack Van Volsen, Stevie Lescovar, who was picked up from the Peterborough Petes, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him as well because he's looked really solid too. These trades were incredibly, incredibly good. They benefited both teams getting these players, and the trades also benefited the Steelheads because they got a bunch of younger players who could potentially be first-round NHL draft picks. And right now, it's so difficult to say that they aren't doing well. It's just, you can't tell me that, Jack Van Volsen hasn't been impressive. You can't tell me that Porter Martone hasn't done everything he can out there every single game. It's just too good. And these guys are getting to the point where we're getting used to seeing them play in a Steelheads uniform, and they're quickly becoming fan favorites. And I can safely say that I am a huge, huge fan of how these guys are playing. So with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about Stevie Lescovar. Now, he came over in a trade from the Peterborough Petes. He is an 04 born defenseman. Now, he is one of those guys that I hadn't seen a whole lot of until he came in. Now, one of the things that I like about him is the fact that he is a no-quit type of defenseman. And what do I mean by a no-quit type of defenseman? I mean that it doesn't matter what situation he is in. It seems that he just does not quit. He's relentless. He's always hanging back, always trying to block a shot, making sure that all of the passing lanes from the opposing team are cut off. He is a guy who is going to get you those second, third line minutes, and he's a decent depth defenseman. Why is that so important? Because in a league where you have so many amazing goal scorers, it's important to have depth. And right now, I say he's a depth defenseman, but he's got the potential to be a top 4 guy coming up in the next 2-3 years. He's got that potential, and he's looked really good so far. Defensemen don't get enough credit. They don't get enough love. I had to show him a little bit of credit there because I am, out of all of the players that I'm just impressed with, I would have to say, Lescovar has to be among, 1 or 2 of those players that I'm super, super impressed with. So those rookie players and the younger players on this team, I don't have the words. They've been looking so good to the point where, tell me if this sounds like I'm being a homer, but this team is going to do some damage in the next couple of seasons. It may not seem like it now, but trust me, it's going to happen. Whether anybody wants it to or not, this team is going to be a powerhouse. Ryerson Leanders is only 16 years old. Jack Van Volsen's 17, sorry. Porter Martone, 16 years old. Like, you have players who are going to be here for at the very least, the next 2 years. And as they develop, they're going to get better and better. They're going to get faster. Their puck movement is going to be a lot better. They are going to take more shots. They're going to score more goals. It doesn't matter where they are on the ice. This team is going to be deadly. Put it all to bed with, these guys are just a mediocre franchise and they're never going to make the finals and whatever. That could all change. Because even though this year the finals are looking less and less likely, 2023 and 2024 it's looking more and more likely at this point. Because these players are getting this amount of experience right now, it's going to be a lot more exciting. So super excited about that. The game against the North Bay Battalion tonight is going to be interesting because they are first place in the Central Division right now. They've had the Steelheads number, I think, for most of the season. And is that necessarily a good thing? No. But at the end of the day, you're playing for your team. You know what I mean? They're still, as of right now, the Steelheads are still in the playoffs. So you obviously want to try and make the playoffs, right? But to get these guys some experience. But as of right now, just go out there and play your best. Because this is what you want to do, right? You want to get these guys that experience. You want your OAs to teach them. You want to play and tell them, hey, this is the way that you should be doing things if you want to develop as a player. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But I think that it would be a very good idea to use the most out of these guys while you have them. And speaking of using the most out of these guys while you have them, James Hardy. And I have said this time and time again. Over the years, I have become a super fan of James. And last week, he hit an incredible milestone. It was such an amazing moment. I was fortunate enough to capture the postgame, and I will actually play this right after here, so you can take a look at what he had to say. It basically speaks for itself, but man, we are witnessing and have witnessed a player who has become not only a fan favorite, has become a household name, and has really defined himself as not only just a top hockey player, but the best Steelhead in franchise history. And the more that I look back at it over the 5 years that he's been in Mississauga since he came in, his rookie season, he had 22 points. His second season, he had 63. Last year, I believe he had 77. And right now, he is on pace in his overage season for 88 points, which will put him well ahead of Riley Brace's point record for the majors and the Steelheads, by the way. So he's on the way to breaking that too. So he's already broke the all-time record for points, but now he's going to hold that, I guess, record, because technically it's divided in half. But the more that we think about this, the more that people say that James Hardy is the greatest Steelhead of all time, it makes me think it's just sinking in now that he really just shattered Mikey McLeod's record, and he's probably going to set a new one of his own. By the time the season ends, they've still got 30 games left. If he gets 30 points in that stretch, he's going to have 244 points. And for anybody to break that is going to be extremely, extremely difficult. He should be proud. I know that the fan base is super happy, and I'm super happy for him as well. It's just, he's such an incredible, not only just an incredible hockey player, an incredible human being. From the times that I've got to interact with him, both inside and outside the rink, he's always been a class act. And somebody like that to have on your team for those 5 years, who's been absolutely nothing but amazing in terms of personality, in terms of the way he conducts himself on the ice, as well as professionally, there's nothing but good things to say about him. And for those who know him and have interacted with him, they will probably be able to vouch for me on this, that through these last 5 years, I think the Mississauga Steelheads are super, super lucky and super fortunate to have a guy like James Hardy on the team. Not only just because, again, of his on-ice ability, but he brings that sense of leadership and that sense of, what's the word? I guess, yeah, personality. He brings that personality. He brings that leadership. He brings that high morale. And that's something that I think a lot of people and a lot of teams can appreciate. And the fact that he was not drafted is criminal. I will continue to say that. The fact that he was not drafted is criminal. But I think with this being said, with the records that he's broken, being named captain, co-captain with Charlie Callahan. And with the amount of incredible ability that he has, this is going to make some NHL teams turn their heads. So yes, he has passed his third year of eligibility for the draft, so he's not eligible to be drafted anymore. However, he is eligible as of, I believe, the end of the season, as of April this year. Yes. As when the season ends, he's able to sign a contract with basically any team that he wants now that he's an overager. And I would be extremely surprised if it was not with a professional team, because he's just too good. He's just too good. Any league that he goes to, he's going to dominate. Just too good. So on behalf of all of us at the Pro Shot Podcast and myself, James, congratulations on a huge, huge milestone. You certainly earned this, and you've proven why you are the best Steelhead of all time. So congratulations again. Really looking forward to what the rest of the season can bring for you, and following around with the rest of your career as well. So with that being said, I'm going to lead you into the postgame from both general manager and head coach James Richmond, as well as the golden boy himself, James Hardy. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell notification for all future content, and follow along on our website, which I will post in the description. But until then, I will see you very soon for the next episode.
It's James's night, clearly.
Yeah, great to see him do that. Think of all the stuff that all the games that he's played here, and he's deserved it, and it's great. Really proud of him.
And obviously a lot more than just you and his family proud of him by the celebration that
Yeah, I think that everybody knows that he's a hell of a player and done great things here in Mississauga, and hopefully it's just a beginning for him for the next year. Hopefully he gets a pro contract.
We know he's been a leader in one way or another for so long, but just what can young guys learn from him, just the way he carries himself on and off?
Well, the way that he approaches the game, right? I mean, he doesn't get too down, he doesn't get too high, he just comes and he gets the job done. I mean, you've watched him for 5 years now. He just scores. He doesn't get too down when things go, and he makes mistakes. You know, he doesn't get too down, he doesn't get too high. He just keeps going. He just keeps plugging away, and he just keeps scoring. That's all he does. Pretty cool.
And then Charlie gets the game winner in overtime, also having just been announced co-captain. Kind of what about him?
Pretty neat. I mean, Chucky bleeds blue and white, right? I mean, he's a hard worker. His game is really developed, and he's got a real good skill set now to his overall toughness. You know, he's maybe one of the best body checkers in the league. He's a tough kid. He leads by example. Everybody loves him in there. It's great to see him get the winner tonight.
You say lead by example. Naming those two guys co-captains, was that kind of
easy
decision?
Yeah, it was an easy choice. It was. I mean, I know it's different having two captains, but I think they both deserved it, and I think it was the right thing to do. So, doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to get criticized for it.
Just now that newcomers have had a full week to learn things here, how has the adjustment been from a systems standpoint?
Yeah, you know what? They fit in really nicely. I mean, it seems like they love it here, and their parents love it here, and our players that are here, they have really taken them in, and they fit in real nicely. Yeah.
Cool. Might as well also ask about Bellieri. He had
played a heck of a game again tonight. I mean, we started taking on water there in the third period, and he held us in there, and we gave up the tying one. Can't fault him on any goals tonight, and he really, that's three in a row. That's pretty good.
Has anything changed about his game since he's come back from the World Juniors?
No, it hasn't. It just seems he's more rested and more comfortable.
All right.
Much of a choice, but congrats, man. I'm sure there's just so much pride you're feeling right now?
Yeah, I feel amazing. I've been here for 5 years, and there's a lot of really good players that have played here, and to be at the top of that list, like I said, it's amazing. I can't even put into words right now how I feel, but it's awesome.
Do you remember kind of at what point the talk began, like kind of where the records were and how close you were to them?
Yeah, coming into this year, me and my dad sat down. We're like, hey, this is it. This is what you got to do. It's your last year. To hit it and still got lots of hockey left is awesome, and I'm really excited.
Obviously, over the last 48 hours, it's a lot to process. You've obviously been named co-captains with Charlie Callahan, and now you own sole possession of the records. What's going through your head right now?
Honestly, I don't even know right now. I mean, my best friend, we've been here since we were 16 years old. It's awesome to share this with him, and I'm gonna have a lot of texts from family and friends. It's been awesome. My parents are here every game supporting me, and to break it while they're in the building is amazing.
Sorry. Did you have a chance to look at your phone?
I haven't yet. No.
So it's probably going to blow up pretty soon if it hasn't already.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, obviously, a big game tonight as well. A big win. Another game against Barrie on Sunday afternoon. What do you have to do to win that game?
Yeah, we won 3 in a row. We haven't done that in a while, and we just think back to what they did to us when we were in their hometown, and they scored 4 straight to take the lead and then beat us. So that's in the back of our head for Sunday, of course, and hopefully get 4 in a row.
Good.